Ready to start? Okay. Welcome everybody to this webinar called Using Art for Liberation, Why Use Art to Resist. I'd also like to acknowledge that we are living and working on the traditional territory of the Attawandaron, also known as the Neutral, Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. We are situated on the Halaman Tract, the territory promised to the Six Nations that includes 16 kilometers on each side of the Grand River. This webinar is being sponsored by Canadian Voices for Palestinian Rights. This is a nonpartisan community group based in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. The organization aims to create awareness of the effects of the Israeli military occupation on Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, the lack of equality for Palestinians living in Israel, and the enduring statelessness of Palestinian refugees in exile. We support justice and equality for all within the frameworks of human rights, international humanitarian law, and UN resolutions. Through its advocacy and educational activities, the group denounces all barriers and oppression created by racism, discrimination, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and colonialism. We're grateful for all those who have donated to us so we can continue to have these important and informative webinars. I'd like first to introduce the board members. Perhaps start with Maisa.
Hi, my name is Maisa Al-Mustafa. I am based in Kitchener-Waterloo.
Kathy.
I'm Kathy Bergen. I live in Kitchener.
Lillian.
I'm Lillian Patey, and I live in Windsor, Ontario right now.
And I'm Robert Fantina, living in Kitchener also. Maisa, do you want to introduce Mamoun, who's unable to be with us today? Okay, we will ask that everyone mute their microphones and keep their cameras off. This will make the presentation better regarding just the technology. Our speaker will present for 40 to 45 minutes, during which time we invite you to submit questions through the chat during the presentation. And afterwards, we'll have about 30 minutes and I'll be asking those questions. I'd like to turn the time over now to Kathy to introduce our speaker.
Okay, good morning. I will introduce Faten briefly. You've all read her bio on the flyer. And what I would like to just say is that I have worked with Faten for many years when I was at the Friends Center in Ramallah. She did many projects with us at the center, and she probably will describe those more in detail. But I just want to say how much we valued her expertise, her talents, and what she did in terms of using theater to bring across many ideas and concepts that otherwise would not have been able to be talked about and acted out. So Faten, it's just a pleasure to have you here. And I love to hear what you have to say. And we've asked, Faten is going to also say a little bit more about herself as she talks about her work. Welcome to Canada, Faten.
Thank you, Kathy. Welcome to Palestine too. Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Thank you for inviting me today, and for all the group. Thank you very much for your work and for your care to say all the truth about Palestine, and for all your work, and all of us. We are working, even all the situation that we are passing through, that I'm sure everyone knows nowadays how much these days are very difficult for every Palestinian, for us. So before I begin to talk about anything, I would like to, if it's okay with you, we can begin our webinar without talking about what happened and what's happening every day, but especially what happened yesterday. So I would like, if it's okay with you, to ask you a few seconds just to be in silent for the memory of all the martyrs, and especially for Shireen Abu Akleh and all the martyrs. Today was another young man that he was killed. Shireen Abu Akleh, she was a journalist and she was killed while she was doing her duty as journalist. So if we can have a few seconds of silence, please. Okay, thank you. As I said, today I will talk about art, about resistance, about how can art can bring for liberation in different ways. And I will talk about my experience in this field. But before that, as I said, we can't begin to talk without talking about what happened yesterday. And from here, I would like just to share a few. Of course, you all saw these photos yesterday. It was in the funeral of Shireen Abu Akleh. And there is no words, I think, and everyone saw the news, but there are no words, I think, to describe this picture. The picture can say everything. They killed a journalist that she's doing her duty, that she was wearing a press costume, and it was very clear that she was a journalist. And sometimes I think as if she's not a journalist, is it like okay to kill her? But anyways, she was doing her duty, and even though they killed her, and they are trying to say all the time that it wasn't the Israeli bullet that killed her, but in the end they said yes, it was. And she was killed. This is the first part of the story. The second part of the story, anyone died, you need to do funeral for him or for her. Shireen, they didn't want even to do funeral for her because it was for them scary to have a dead body in front of them because she said the truth. And someone wrote in the Facebook something I really liked, that she was a live dead body and they were alive, and they were, she was a dead body but alive, and they were alive but dead bodies as soldiers. And what really was scaring them is, if you see that some young people, they are having the Palestinian flag. Does it flag really scares or can kill or can do anything? Why Palestinian flag? It scares them. Why a dead body? And young people, as you see, they are not having anything. And they were beating them while their hands were up to carry Shireen to go in the funeral, because they didn't want her. They didn't want them to go in the street and to have the funeral. And this is from one side what Israel, they want us to be. And the other thing, what we are this as Palestinian people. We are Muslim and Christians. They were praying in the French hospital together yesterday. And this is against what some people they were saying and what Israel tries to say. So again, regardless of everything, Palestinian people, they really resist, and they wanted to have funeral to Shireen Abu Akleh. So this I just wanted to share before we begin. Sorry, how can I go back to the page? Yeah.
You can stop sharing. Perfect.
Thank you. So, so with all these images and all these pictures, maybe, I mean, everyone can have his own feelings and his own reflection. Now, I would like to begin to talk from here about myself and about my experience, and not because I want to talk about myself, because I want to talk about myself where I'm living in Palestine. What you saw, actually, the picture I showed you before, it wasn't something new. This is what we've been living for a long time, more than 74 years. And this is not something new. Some people, they were surprised, but I'm surprised. Why to be surprised? This is the real face of Israel, of the occupation. Now, I studied theater and history of art in Haifa University, and I studied acting. And I studied in Haifa University because I live in Nazareth, and I think that many people of you, as you know, we as Palestinians in 48, and I will use so much 48 in my presentation. And when we say 48, I mean all the Palestinians, cities and villages, and the Palestinians themselves, that they are living inside what we call Israel today. So as Palestinian living in Nazareth, I went to Haifa University and I studied there. First of all, I had to study in a strange language, not my language. And of course, it wasn't easy, as anyone can. It will be difficult to go anywhere and to study in another language, and especially because I studied theater acting and I had to do performances and to act in the language that I'm studying and to do play performances, because it was like the first year more theory and the second 2 years there were more productions. So it was very difficult for me to have to do it in another language, but it's not any strange language. Now I'm speaking in English, and to be honest, it's not the most easy thing for me to talk and to be fluent in another language. But for me, it's just about difficulty of another language that it's not my language, but I try to deal with it. But in Hebrew, it's not because it's just not my language, it's because the language of the occupation that I have to deal with. So I had to study in Hebrew and to do plays in Hebrew. And the other thing, it was the shock that I had since I was born in Nazareth, as I said, and maybe some of you know that there's in Nazareth city, the original Nazareth city, and there's the settlement, upper Nazareth, that of course they were, the lands they were stolen from Nazareth. That there are Israelis and Jewish people, they are, let's say Israelis, they are living there. Now in Nazareth, the city itself, they are just Palestinians. And for me, as a child, I went to school and I lived in a place where there are just Palestinians and just speaking in Arabic and studying in Arabic school. So for me, going to a university that there, I have to speak in Hebrew and I have to study with people that with people that I didn't really meet. It's not that I never, but I really didn't live with before. And for me, it was before, it was all the image. It was more pure and more different image about the world. And going to the university, it changed my image. And it's been so much shocking for me going there and facing the reality where we are really, really living, you know, and facing the occupation. I will tell you one story that happened with me so I can like explain myself more. Once we were sitting, me and another guy that he was studying with me theater, and we were talking about some subject, how art can affect our life. And while talking, we were using, we as Palestinians, we can do this and this and this. And then this girl that she's with us studying, she came to me, she hugged me, and she was really, she wanted to tell me something very important. And she told me, I'm sorry for you, but why you say Palestinian? You are not Palestinian. There is no Palestine here. There is Israel. And this brainwash, you should stop this brainwash. Why you say yourself Palestinian? Think about it. There was no Palestine. And she wanted to hug me and to continue her monologue. Of course, my friend, he was discussing with her and he was telling her all about, you know, about reality. But I was shocked. I really remember that it was in 97, long time ago, but I couldn't even answer her or do anything. I was stuck here because it was shocking for me. You are denying who I am. I'm Palestinian. Like, imagine someone, I will tell you, my name is Faten. No, you are not Faten. Well, this is my name. This is who I am. And this is our situation as Palestinians in 48, where we are living in 48, that everyone can say, I'm Palestinian, I'm French, I'm Canadian, I'm Italian, but nobody can tell you, no, you are, I don't think you are Canadian. I don't think you are Italian, because I'm Italian, that's it. There's no discussion about it. But we, especially Palestinians in 48, because we have Israeli identity and Israeli passport, and we have it because we are living here and we will keep living in Palestine here where we are living. So everyone tells us, no, you are Arab Israelis or Israelis. That's how it began more and more the denial and the loss of the identity, especially for young people. And maybe if we'll talk about it now, it will take much time, but to say shortly that, of course, when you are studying in schools in the system of the Israeli system, they don't teach you anything about Palestine, even history, even everything. So there is no knowledge for the young people. Just if their parents, they will help them, or they go to other places, organizations that they talk about it. So many people, they ask me, and they tell me, oh, so you feel that you are Palestinians? I said, oh, I don't feel. No, I don't feel I'm Palestinian. I am. It's not about feeling. This is who I am. It's not about, oh, do you feel that you are Italian, or do you feel you are Canadian? So the only people, they don't have the right to say who they are Palestinians in 48. And as I said that, and I will have shortly another story to say that, since I know that my mother, she's sharing the Zoom here with us. But when I was in the school, I don't remember how old I was, but maybe I was 10 or 7, and I saw by accident a movie on some of the Israeli channels that talking about, of course, Israel, in Palestine, that it was empty land, there were nobody, it was a desert, there was no one, and with all the effect and with all the music and all, you know, the effect of the movie, they said then Israel came, and then there was Haifa, Jaffa, and there were all Jaffa, all the Palestinian cities, and then how it was more and more civilized. And then I went to my mother and I told her, why you don't tell me the truth? There was no Palestine, it was desert, there was just Israel. So that's what a kid saw in a movie, and we will talk about it, how art in this way can affect, it can affect in a good way, can affect in a bad way. So when my mother heard that, thank you for her, she sat with me, she told me the reality, and she told me about my grandfather, and she talked with me about it. Now, I had the chance to have my mother to talk with me about it, but I know that so many people, young people and children and teenagers, they have nobody to talk about it. So that's why they are lost in their identity, who they are. After I graduated from the university, and I had really tough experience studying, as I mentioned, all the shock, the culture, not just the cultural shock, the occupation shock, it's not cultural shock. It's the situation of the occupation shock and the language and everything. I decided that I want to work just with Palestinian theaters. Since I began to work, I studied history of art, but basically I started work as an actress and a drama trainer. So I began to work in different Palestinian theaters. I lived in Ramallah, and I worked in Ramallah, in Jerusalem, in Bethlehem, and there I met Kathy. I had the good chance to meet Kathy and to work with her. And so I've been living between Ramallah and Nazareth. And I went once, we had a performance in Gaza. Of course, it was before the second Intifada. And I was living basically between 48, what we call and West Bank, and Jerusalem. So at that time, I saw how much we as Palestinian people, each one is living in his own, I don't want to say bubble, but in his own territory and his own conflict. But we have the same occupation. We have the same source we can say of the problem. So we all have the same occupation, but everyone is facing it in different way. And then I saw how much like people in here in 48, many times they didn't know about all the permissions, the tasrih. If you need to go from Ramallah to Nazareth, if I want to invite my friend and she has Palestinian identity, I can't invite her, tell her, oh, let's go to the sea, let's go to the sea. No, you have to need permission to go out to see the sea. There are many young people, they didn't see once the sea. There are many, I know. So, and many people from West Bank, they don't know how much the loss of identity that we face. They think, oh, you have Israeli identity, then you are okay, you can go to the sea, you can move freely, and even while you go abroad, it's easy. I can say sometimes it is, yes, easy, but it's not easy. It's the same. It's the same conflict that we have. It's the same occupation we have, but in different way. At that time, I felt, and of course, talking about Gaza and Jerusalem, and of course, we talk about diaspora, but here I will talk about in Palestine. So at that time, I felt, what can I do? I studied theater. What can I do to make something, to say something, to be effective? Should I be just an actress and do performances and that's it, or I can do something else? Just like theater, when I use theater, I can say things beyond words, and I can communicate with people. I was asking and wondering with myself. At that time, lucky me, I met Kathy, and we had me and Kathy in the friend's house. We had different meetings and different meetings with young people for I think 2 years or 2 years and a half or 3 years maybe, that having workshops between young people and adults, even that they are work as social workers, and talking about different issues, using theater as a tool to talk about it. And we had our friend from Sweden as a trainer. He came and he gave us some other training. But the thing that I want to say, the most interesting thing was in the workshop, it was the workshop, of course, itself. The most interesting thing was in the workshop, the coffee break. Because during the coffee break, I was listening to the young people, what they are talking. One girl, she was crying, came, and when we did once exercise, she told me, I can't believe that one of our friends, he said, oh, I hope he's from Nablus. I hope I can go to the sea before I die. And she said, but I live next to Haifa, or in Dali al-Karmel, it's up Haifa. And from my room, I can see the sea. I can see it every day. How come someone would love to see the sea before he dies at least one time? And then on the other hand, like the other people, they were told me, because we had people that, 2 girls, that they are Druze. I hope I announced it right, so you all understand it. That many of the Druze, many people, they think that they are old, they go to the Israeli army and they are against Palestinians. But these two girls, they were really, her father, he was in prison, and she really does care about all the Palestinian issue, and she always very active and very activist. So he told me, I couldn't believe that I met someone who's Druze, that she really does care about Palestine. And so many stories like that people, they wanted to meet, they wanted to share, they wanted to share their stories. And that's how I felt how much theater and in general art, but now today, I will talk maybe more about theater because this is what I do. This is my work, but all arts, but in theater, how much you can say. Usually we say in theater, you can say things that you can't say it in words, but you can say it in your body, in your soul, in your feelings, in different ways. And at that time, I was asking myself, why we do art? Do we use art to have fun and to have a good time, which is not bad actually, or do we do like performances to have a message, to have a good message, which is good too. But then I thought it's good to have a message, but after having, I want to do a performance, a theater performance about a specific message, okay, about specific issue. But after I have this specific message, after that, what? What about the action? And here I was thinking how much really can theater can be an action and real action. I'm not just going and performing and living away from what's happening, what's going on in daily life. And theater can be action, because the theater, it's art of action, and it's happening here and now. What's really special in theater, in any other kind of art, first of all, you can't have a piece of like, you can't have performance without audience. Audience, they are part of your ceremony, of your process of the play, because if you don't have audience, you cancel the show. But I can have a piece of music, doing it alone or doing it, but it's better to have an audience, but you can do it maybe without audience. So theater, it's the only art that you can't have it without audience. And people, they are very, very good, important part in the process of the theater. And the other thing, theater, it's happening here and now. I can talk about what happened before a million years. I can talk what will happen before in the future. I can talk now today, but it's happening now. Something it's happening now. And this is why theater it's effective. And this is why theater, it can have the effect of the action. And a little bit more, I will talk about different kind of theaters, how they can be effective in action. The other thing that theater, the theater and the music and different kind of arts, the visual arts, they are visual. And anything like, for example, when I could talk about the funeral of Shireen Abu Aqli, and I can tell you that Palestinian people, even though they were Muslim and Christians, they were praying together. But I wanted to show you a picture, image, because when you see, then it can get to your mind and to your soul, and you can feel it. And imagine when you see and you can hear and you can, so the visual, it can really help us to know what's happening, what's going on, and to feel it, not just to know. When I go to a lecture, I can talk about different issues, and it could be and of course, it's very important. But through theater, you cannot just talk to our mind. You always talk to, even you say things, as we said, you can't see it. You can't say it in words, and you talk to the soul and to the body. And that's why it's important when you're using theater to talk about different issues, because this way, in all arts and in theater here specifically, I'm talking that you go to the people talking about any issue that it's important for you to talk through the feeling, the soul, and people, they can be part of it, part of this ceremony. They are not far away from it. And it depends what kind of theater, that how much they can be part of it or not. And here I would like to, for example, to give you example about one kind of theater that theater is art of doing, that it's happening here and now. So I would like to mention, for example, there's location theater that we call. Location theater, it's any performance theater that we do it outside of the theater, of the stage. There's theater, there's stage, people, they come in this theater. Location theater, you can do it anywhere. You can do it at home. You can do it in the garden. You can do it in the checkpoint, as happened many times. You can do it different places. So, and with location theater, there are different kind of theaters that one of them, it's the street theater. The street theater, it's really important kind of theater, for me, from my perspective, that this kind of street theater that you go to the people in the street. Usually you invite people to come to the theater to see a play, but here you go to the people. Now, many times, of course, I did twice street theater. So you invite the people, they come, especially to the theater. But plus to that, there's people that they are walking the street, they will see what happens, so they can be part of the audience. Or you don't invite people, you just go to the street, and who people they are going in the street, what's happening, they are your audience. And the street theater, we use it here in Palestine so much, and not just in Palestine, everywhere, of course, in all the world, and they're using it until today, and it's very, very effective, especially in the protest for different issues. It could be social issues and could be for the political issues. And of course, here in Palestine, we use it more and more for our political issues. I will give example. I wished if I have pictures here, but I don't know if anyone saw when they had the protest in Na'lin, and they had people that at that time, I think there was an Avatar movie, and they were taking some characters from Avatar and from other characters, and some people, they were dressing as a clown, and they were going in the protest, and they were participating as characters in this protest, and they were doing a performance there. Once I remember my friend, even she's from Spain, she's not from Palestine, and she's a flamenco dancer. And she came and she was wearing as a clown, and the soldier, he had the gun, he wanted to kill her. And then when she was putting the nose of the clown and dancing as a clown, the soldier was shocked. He didn't expect that, what she's doing. She's supposed to have stones or to shout out, but this is something new, he never saw it. So he was shocked, she had nothing. No gun, even not stone, nothing. He could kill her. While she was dancing and doing as a clown, he had the gun, and then the gun was down. He didn't even, he was very shocked. So, and it was very effective, all these ways that they did. In Na'lin, I brought example as Na'lin, but in many places, even in Qalandia checkpoint, many times there were so many performances, not just theater, even music, and even so many things that you go to the people going there and tell them whatever you want to tell them. The other kind of theater, it is the location theater. It's the, I think here I will share the video, yeah. Yeah, I will just mention before that, today I was supposed, for the street theater, I was supposed to have street theater performance, since the memory of the Nakba, it's tomorrow, but we wanted to do it today because Sunday, Nazareth, it's all closed. So we wanted to do in Nazareth, it's not performance, it's more theater protest, we call it. That people refugees from 48, as if the time goes back to 48, and they are walking in the street as refugees now. And the people now today in Nazareth, they will see them. We don't have text, we don't have anything. Just imagine you are walking in the street and you see refugees walking, and of course, any Palestinian, he see this scene, he will go back to 1948, even if it's he's 6 years old. Any Palestinian can reflected to the Nakba. Unfortunately, we didn't do it today with all the situation. We will do it next Saturday. I wanted to show you some pictures, but we'll do it next Saturday. So this is another kind of theater that it can be effective. It can be for theater, that it's art of doing. And that's how theater in this way can be an action. We say something, we want to say something. It's not just about I describe something, I'm doing, in a real, I'm doing, I'm going, I'm protesting. Another kind of theater, it's the location theater, that it's about the project that I'm doing, the story of the old houses and how we keep our heritage. Unfortunately, so many houses were destroyed in Palestine, in different places in West Bank and in 48. Unfortunately, some houses were destroyed because different reasons, not because of the occupation, because of the Palestinian law that we are trying to change through this place. So I did this this project. It's about location theater. We all that every time we take a story, a specific story, it could be about a specific house, a heritage house or old house, we can call it. And we go to the house. We don't bring people to the theater. We go to the house, to the location itself, and we make the play there according to what the story or what the play it is about. Now, I would like to show you something. I will do here share screen. I'm sorry that I will share with you this video, but unfortunately the sound, it's not good. And it's pity because I have a music in this video presenting the whole project that I did. There's music and there's a description in Arabic, but there's subtitle in English. So even people they are talking in Arabic, they can read the subtitle in English. I wanted really to show it with the sound, but maybe it will be a little bit noisy. So I will put the sound down and I will share with you the video. It's like 8 minutes. Okay, thank you. I hope it was I didn't put the voice, so sure. I didn't put the volume on because it could be a little bit, unfortunately there's a music, but we couldn't share it through the screen. It's different here. Well, as I mentioned here, the place that I did this video, but after I did the video about the productions, we had another production I had that it was in Bethlehem, and I hope that I can do it even here in Nazareth and in Haifa and in Ramallah and different places that it called Bulldozer. And there, I won't talk much about this project, but very shortly that I will say that there are two cases when I do performance about the heritage and the old houses. Can you hear me well? Yeah, I put the volume on. Okay. When I talk about the old houses in West Bank, unfortunately, I say again, we go to not to the Israelis that they are destroying the houses. We go to the Palestinian law that unfortunately that the law began to say that if the house it's after 1917, you can destroy it. Like if it's 1918 or 1920, you can destroy the house. Now, in all West Bank, you have so many nice different houses, and especially in Ramallah, maybe Kathy knows, she lived a long time in Ramallah, and there are so many. One of them is the meeting house. Some of them that they are historical, or other of them they are from the 30s or 40s. But Ramallah, it's known of the nice old houses and the trees, and the unfortunately more than, as I said, more than 400 something. 450 or 80 houses they were destroyed. When I perform the here in 48, we talk about the issue, but in different way. That's how I say that we are all Palestinians, but we have different kind of conflicts. Here we talk about selling houses for Israeli for Israelis or for Israeli government or any. But they, of course, when they buy it, when you sell the house for any Israeli side, then the house it's like destroyed it. Even if they don't destroy it, they destroyed the memory and the story of it. And that's why all the time we say we never ever should sell the houses that we have in Haifa, in Jaffa, like in Akka. Some people, they are even living in some houses that they are in very, very, very bad condition because they can't do any renovation. Of course, because the Israelis, they want them to go out. And when you live in Jaffa, you are next to the sea, you have all these not good situations for the building, and they can't do any renovation. So, and even though there are some people, they are staying there, but unfortunately, some people, they sell their houses. So this is the issue that we were talking about in this project, and especially about when we talk about theater and action in the play that called Bulldozer, that it's not in the video that I showed for you, it was in Bethlehem. We did something that we wanted to effect, to like have the action to change the Palestinian law, that it says that if the house it's after 1917, you can destroy it if it's after. So we had a signature. We asked people to have signature that they are against this law. And unfortunately, I tried to send it to the municipality in Ramallah, especially, but I didn't succeed. But I'm looking forward to do another performances and to have another signatures and to go to some of the municipalities. So that's how, when I said that theater can be action, here the people, they didn't just saw the play and they said, oh, that's so pity. Maybe we should not say that, maybe we should not do that, maybe it's not about just the message, it's the action. When I have a signature and I say something, it is an action, a real action here and now. That's why I said theater, it's very important, of course, to have a message, what I want to say. Without message, I can't have any piece of art, if it's theater or anything else. But it's not, and it's very important to have a good time and to have fun and to enjoy what for example, the performance that I'm seeing. But the action, it's really, really important. It's really effective in a very, very important way. I mean, I can talk about it for a long time, how much it's affected, and I can't stop talk about it because I know and I felt it, how much theater can really change in real, not just in theory. Now, other kind of theaters that it really can change that I like a little bit to talk about, depends on for our time and how much we have still time. Yeah, so other kind of theater that I can talk about, it's more the interaction theater. There are so many interaction theater, like the theater of the oppressed or playback theater, that they are in all over the world. For example, the theater of the oppressed, it began in Brazil, and the playback theater, I think it began in, I'm not sure, maybe it began in New York, but I'm not sure. But I worked more in interaction theater, the theater of the oppressed. So in these kind of theaters, you let the people to come and to join you and to take action. Like if I see something, some scene I want to change, I go to the stage and I change it in the same time. Of course, there's a way how to do it and to arrange it, but that's how can, in this way, that theater can really be a change. And people, they can go, not just go back home and think about it, they feel that they want to change. And that's how I feel that this is the way that how we, it's important to be aware to use art here, because art is a way of changing in our, of course, like there's no miracles can happen. I can't say I want to end the occupation, there's still occupation, but I want to change in my, at least inside circle, and to change what I can really change, but how you say, what I am not allowed, what I can really change, what I can do. And the other thing that people, they really, like I saw some reactions here I couldn't read, but I'm sure that if I talked about the project, it's not the same like if I show it to you as a video, because I showed you in video, and I'm sure if you hear the music and other thing, it will affect more. But even without the music and the sound, it could affect more than talking about it. Now I'm talking, but when I show you something in a video and in pictures and in with all this effects, then it can be more effective. So imagine when you go to see a play or to hear music, and how much it can be effective to your mind, to your soul, to your body. And that's why it's the importance of the art to change. And here I will come to talk about the last thing that I would like to come to talk about. I just want to ask if I'm out of time, maybe, right? I should end very soon. Or,
No, you can go ahead, Faten.
Okay, I just don't want to be very long, so we can have.
No. It's very important for us to hear
Okay.
more about
Thank
your
you.
stories. Thank you.
So other thing that I want, the last thing to talk about, which it's very important, and this is what I've been dealing with since '99, since I graduated, it's the boycott and why it's important to boycott. And when I say boycott here and refusing working with the productions, co-productions, what we call. And here I'm talking about, of course, there are so many things to talk about it, but here I'm talking about the cultural level. Of course, I'm with all the levels, but here I'm talking about the cultural level. As I told you, after I graduated, I took all this shock, and I saw how much I can do in art and theater, and I tried it. And unfortunately, there are many productions that they are different artists that they are working in Israeli productions. And I think for me, it's very, very important. They're very, very dangerous, sorry. Since, as we said, how much art can affect, how can affect in our soul, how can affect in our body, everything. What are the messages that you give when you do a co-production with Israelis and Palestinians? Now, why you say we refuse, we don't want? Like, of course, I want to work in different productions. I want to be on stage. I want to work to be, everyone wants that. I'm not just like punishing myself. I don't have a problem that I want to punish myself. So some people, they think like, why you do this? Why you don't work with Israelis? And why you being so passive? And I heard it so many times. And here I want to say, it's not about passive. It's about action. And it's not just about reaction, it's action. refusing working with Israeli production is an action. It's not being passive and just sitting and saying no. I say no, I don't want to work with Israeli productions because so many reasons. One of them that, first of all, any production can be with Israel, between Palestinian and Israeli, or just Israeli production, and any Palestinian can go and work. And we talk now here in theater, but of course in theater and cinema, I will give examples. And sorry, theater and cinema and series. If anyone will go and work in this production, then he's part of the Israeli propaganda, and part of showing that Israel, that yeah, we are living here together. There are some Arabs, Palestinians, Arabs, as we said before, and there are some Israelis, and they are living together. Yeah, we work together. We can talk about issues, we can fight, but we live together. And this is another thing that I want to mention. When they say like we fight together or there's conflict. No, I'm sorry, there's no conflict. There's occupation. It's not about conflict, it's about occupation. Someone is occupying me. Someone is not letting me to have a funeral for a martyr like yesterday. This is occupation. This is not conflict. So how come I'm supposed to work and be part of production of my occupation, even if I want to talk about the tree and how much the tree is important for the nature? I'm not talking about politics or anything. But being me in this production, it's saying for the world, I am part of the Israeli system. I am part of this democratic country, just being there. And that's why it's so dangerous. And the other side, it's when we refuse to work in productions, Israeli productions, then unfortunately, like there are some, not many to be honest, but there are some artists. But when all the artists, they refuse to work in Israeli productions, then we are so many people, then we can have very stable and very strong base that we can find alternatives together. And we can find, because now you have Palestinian artists, if you talk about West Bank and 48 and everywhere in all the fields, everything. So if you want to do any production or anything, you will find Palestinian people from doing like all the fields. So we have people that we can work together and we can make our base. Now, when I talk about productions between Israelis and Palestinians, it's more in Palestinians in 48. In West Bank, I don't think there are this situation there, as I know at least. And I will give example for the series of Fawda that it's in Netflix, that it's been screened for a long time. And I mean, it's painful for me to say that, but I will say it because we are here to say the reality, not just to be in La La Land. There are like 100, I think, or 100 Palestinian actor that have been in Fawda. Now, I don't know if you've seen this series or not, but this is such a very dangerous series because it shows more and more the Israeli propaganda and the people that the artists or the people that they shared writing the script that they were in the Israeli army and in Gaza. So they wrote their experience. So this is one of the so many examples. And as we said, art, it can affect our soul, it can affect our mind, it can affect our body. And even sometimes, maybe I think that, no, I don't agree. As I told you, when I was a young girl, when I saw the movie, it affected me as a young girl. If someone will come and tell me, oh, listen, Faten, there was no Palestine, there's Israel, and maybe I won't listen to him. But when I saw the movie and I heard the music, it affected me. And that's how the art can be effective in a way that we do it as a resistance. But here, if we do it in a way that it can be for propaganda for Israel. And here I hope that we can be in one situation that to refuse and to boycott all the Israeli productions and just to have our Palestinian productions, and we can talk about our nakli, we can talk about our pain. We don't need anyone to talk about it. I mean, when I talk about between Israelis and Palestinians. I think that art, it's like a mirror. Sometimes this mirror that you see, this mirror, it can affect which stage we are in our cultural life, our social, as society. So art, it is like a mirror. So I hope that we can keep this mirror clean and clear as Palestinian, because we have so many things to talk about. We have so many things to do about it, action, a real action. Every day we have so many issues that we have to do, not just to talk about it, to deal with it and to take a real action about it. And that's why I think that art, it's part of the resistance, and art, it's part of the samoud, as we say in Arabic. I can't find another word for it in English, but it's like, I don't know what's samoud in English, but it's, so I think that art, it can really affect in so many different ways, and to refuse or to boycott, it is a action, and it's not just being passive. I'm sure that for me, I was not working with Israeli productions for many years, and believe me, it's not easy. I know it's not easy for anyone. It's not easy for me when I'm not working, just to say no. I don't want to work now. I don't want to have income. It's not that I want, as I said, to punish myself. It's not easy. Always, it's not easy. But resistant, it's not easy. Every time when I'm really fed up, I think like that there are mothers that are losing their children. There are people in the prisons for a long time. So of course it's not easy, but according to other Palestinian people, I say like, no, I'm supposed, this is my duty. This is my duty that I'm supposed to do at least. I'm doing the minimum. And doing changes, it takes time. I hope that having the change, it's not something that we can do it by day and night. And this, I think, in the opposite of what have been said before, that many people heard. But I think I will say that if all people die, the young generation won't forget. As Mahmoud Darwish said, I will say it in Arabic, بقونا ما بقي الزعتر والزيتون. We will keep being here as the olive and the za'atar will stay in the land. I try to translate it. And thank you for giving me the time, and thank you for giving me the chance to talk here, and for the organization, or the CVR and all people that they organized, all the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Faten, for this very informative and interesting conversation or discussion. A number of questions have been submitted. Initially, at the beginning of your talk, you discussed how the denial of being Palestinian. How does that denial impact Palestinian youth today?
Well, it's about more than denial. It's not denial because people, they want to deny it. It's because what they learned, what they took, the system, the education. How it affects today? Of course, it affects the continuity for us as Palestinians. It affects that our knowledge about ourselves, about who we are, and this young generation, as mothers and fathers, they spread this knowledge for their children. So it affects, of course, in so many ways. And the other thing that it makes more and more gaps between us as Palestinians in different places, I said. Maybe I focused more here on Palestinians in 48, but I lived in West Bank. And yes, there's loss of identity everywhere, to be honest now, even in West Bank, but in different way. So it can affect the way that anyone, imagine someone who's not clear for him the image about his identity, or who like, let me do it like that. Imagine you are standing in front of mirror, and this mirror, it's not clear. The image not clear, maybe not clean, maybe broken. So you can see your face like broken. This is how it is to be not clear with that.
Okay, thank you. Another question that came in, you mentioned the theater of the oppressed, and someone asked if you could discuss that a little bit more, talk about how successful it is, and maybe give us some examples.
Yeah, theater of the oppressed, it's very, very effective way of theater. As I said, that it began in Brazil. Augusto Boal, he began this method of theater. This kind of theater, it's very simple. It's based off that you perform a scene, a play, how much it takes, and then the people, they have the chance to come and to change the reality, but they will change it, they will do it through being in the place of the person who was oppressed, of the person who had the oppression on him. The oppressed, right? Yeah, the oppressed. So not the oppressor, the person who had the oppression in himself. So they can change him, and then the way that they can change him, not just to suggest, like for example, I will give you an example. A father, he's beating his daughter, for example, or a husband. I don't know, it's just any example. So I can't come and change the role of the father, because then it will be magical change, because the father, maybe the oppressor will stay the oppressor, but I will go to change from the person who have the oppression on him. Through him, I can stand on stage, like we invite people in a specific way, of course, we invite people to come. If you were in the place of this girl, what you will do? And then you don't say what you will do, you will act. You will do it in action, in act. So that's how people, they try, they will see, like many people, they tell us when they describe the solution by talking, it's very easy. But when they try to do it, even it's on stage and we are acting, they feel it's not easy at all. It's different. So we try to make the change from the people that they have the oppression in them, not from the oppressed.
So going to the source rather than the problem, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's a kind of like not having magical change, because someone will come and have, for example, the father will come and hug his daughter and he will say, I'm sorry. But in reality, it's not like that. The father will be maybe beating his daughter, unless the daughter, she can try to do something, or she can invite other, like in this kind of theater, you can have other characters that they are not, we didn't show it in the play, but in their imagination, to help this girl, for example, or this character.
Okay,
So that's
thank you.
kind of theater. It's about so much changing in real, in action.
That's really quite fascinating.
Yeah.
In theater, do you target Israeli audiences to change their perspective?
Sorry, I didn't understand again.
When in the like location theater or any kind of theater, do you target Israeli audiences to try to change the Israeli perspective?
Well, usually when I perform, my audience, if I understood the question right, it's Palestinian audience. So to change sometimes, or to empower the perspective of the Palestinian audience. I never, no, I never had Israeli perspective audience, because for me, I believe to make a change, it's that you make a change from the inside circle. We have to make a change from our inside circle. I can't. For example, now when I told you of the theater of the oppressed, I can't go to the father and effect on him to change his way that he's beating his daughter. We'll go to the daughter herself. That's exactly the way I think we can do it. I will go, we as people, we have the occupation, we have to change from inside. Now, what the people that are occupying us, they have their respective, yeah, I mean, it's another level, but I believe in the level that we work in our inside circle. And when I say inside, it's the Palestinian society too, because we have so many issues, we have so many debates, we have so many things to work about. So for me, this is more important.
Okay, thank you. Another question, can you tell us about any challenges you face when you perform at certain locations or at protests?
Yeah, there are so many challenges, of course. Sometimes you have unexpected situation. Sometimes people, like it didn't happen with me, but I know that it happened with some people. Actually, they had the protest in El Manara. So there was no, I mean, it was about a social issue. It wasn't a political issue. And there were no Israeli army because it was inside Ramallah. But there were, like they were talking about the violence and different social issues. And some people they were like shouting on the people they were performing, like what you are doing in the street, it's, you know, so they had to continue. So you can have something like that. Or other people like my friend that she was in the checkpoint and she did the clown thing. She saw some people, some soldiers there. They wanted to come and to arrest her, but they didn't, because as I told you, they were shocked. They didn't expect this thing. So and it can be like they refuse. It can be any situation can happen. It can be that when you are in the street theater or in the protest, you are like other people. Anything that not expected can happen. But especially because you are doing something that people, they are not expecting it. People, they are expecting to go to the protest and to say what you want to say and to have to write what you want to write. But doing it through theater, not many people, it will be very surprising for them. So this can be in a good way, but sometimes it can be in a way that it can make a little bit,
Thank you. Another common question said there is no freedom of expression in Palestine. Do you have a hope that the Palestinian Authority will support theater?
Okay. Well, I mean, Palestinian Authority, there are the cultural ministry. Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are some support for it, but I mean, we had some not projects, but like I knew like they have the theater festival and they try to do a few things, but unfortunately we are living, if we talk about all the authority, we are talking about a lie, a big lie, that we have no authority, we have no government, we are under occupation, we have even no ministry, to be honest. What kind of ministry? When any soldier will come to Ramallah, there's no ministries, there's nothing. Everyone, just Israeli soldier, 18 years old, he can put all the ministries away. So that's why sometimes I say, like, we are not a country, we don't have a ministry. It's a big lie for my point of view. But sometimes Palestinian Authority, if something, it doesn't goes against their way or their way of thinking, they sometimes, but not much. But if you talk about Palestinians in 48, maybe if I understood now the question right, there's a support for theaters from, you mean the Palestinian government. Not always there's a support, like financial support for theaters in 48 to have productions from Palestinian Authority. And that's why many people here take from the cultural Israeli ministry, because they say that you as Palestinian, it's like Palestinian living in Israel, having Israeli identity, there is not much, but there are some. Like I think that it's began before like 7 or 8 years or more. There are sometimes the ministry they give, and not just the ministry, the different NGOs and different organizations that they begin to give for Palestinians in 48. It's still not much. So that's why there's this resource.
Okay, thank you. Another question, can you elaborate on opportunities of cooperation with international associations to assist Mosaic with continuing its important work?
I'm sorry.
Sure, I'll repeat that. Can you elaborate on opportunities of cooperation with international associations to assist Mosaic with continuing its work?
Yeah, I mean, you mean to describe how we can do with international organizations to, I mean, we had so many times when I worked in Ramallah and in Ashtar Theater and in different theaters, we had so many times cooperation with people from Switzerland, from France, with the Hakawati in theater. We had cooperation with every theater in France, in Paris, and so many times people they come, they want to give from their knowledge, and they believe in the Palestinian issue, and they want to help us to make change or to be part of the change. I don't like to use help, to be part of the change. So as an artist, there are so many projects and people, they come, that they want, of course, people, they come to Palestine, they want to change, and in Palestinian perspective. And many times I mean, there are some people, they come to Palestine, and many times we went abroad, and we have performances in different places in Europe and different places in the world, and we perform our plays, and there you can then see people that they do agree with you, they don't agree with you, they know about you, they don't know about you. So when we go out abroad, we see it more, because people, they come to Palestine, they really want to change. So I think it is, I like the way that the description of mosaic. I think, yeah, it's important to make a mosaic of change, but to know how to do it in a way that it is real. It is like, we can't just say that we want to change. We have to be realistic how we can change, and is it real change?
Okay, thank you.
So
Question came in. Can you ask Faten about identity issues for Palestinians living in 48?
Yeah, well, maybe we can do another webinar about that. It takes 1 hour. So do you have 1 hour to talk about it? No, but yeah, I mean, it's very hard to, it's very important question and very hard question to describe the identity for Palestine in 48. Imagine yourself, you've been born in somewhere, and you know that you are, I don't know, you are in like you speak this language, and you have, you know that you are, for example, I'm just giving example, you are French, and then someone, and you are being, I don't know, born in somewhere else in Japan, and you have a passport from Japan, and everyone tells you, no, you are Japanese, you are not French, you can't be, why you are French, why? So imagine you are living like that, and imagine like people that they are young. When you are adult, you can more and more, you are not sure about it, you can talk about it, but young people, especially that the education system, it doesn't talk anything about Palestine. I think really it's important once to do about that webinar. It's very important, because when we study in school, we don't talk, of course, they don't teach us about Nakba. They teach us about the Israeli system, the Israeli government, and the history from their point of view. Even for Mahmoud Darwish, the very known poetist, we don't study for Mahmoud Darwish. If like the teacher, now they begin a little bit more, if the teacher, he wants to talk about it more as a teacher, he can, but not in the school. Some houses, some people, their parents, they don't talk about it. So when they come, and they, like many times we are sitting in the same table, 5 people, you ask everyone like just the definition, like, what's your definition? Some people, they say, oh, I'm Muslim, I'm Christian, I'm Arab Israeli, I'm Arab, I'm Palestinian. So in the same, like, I never saw that in the same people they are living, they are from the same nationality, they have different definition. As I told you, like, even when I say I'm Palestinian, people, they ask me many times, oh, that's great, so you feel you are Palestinian? I said, no, I don't feel, I am. So yeah, it's very, but I can say, I mean, it's all about loss of identity we have. But since after the second Intifada, and especially after what happened last October, what happened in all Pakistan, and especially here, actually we have very important movement for, because we can't say it's all about a loss of identity. There are many young people that they are doing so much important work as the Palestinians in 48. And now in Haifa, in Nazareth, everywhere, there is more and more awareness. I mean, not, of course, there's still the loss of identity, but there's in the side, there's other way going for awareness. And this is bring for me some hope.
Okay, thank you. We have a few more questions, and we have maybe just a couple more minutes.
But can I say just the last thing, that maybe I don't have the whole information about really the loss of identity of Palestinians in 48. I think maybe it's really important to have a webinar or because it really takes time to talk about it in the different.
Of course. And that's like an excellent idea for our next webinar.
Yeah.
So, do you speak at schools?
Do we speak at schools?
Did your organization go out and speak at schools? That was a question that came in.
I thought you mean the which organization?
Well, as an actress, and do you speak at schools to encourage art as a form of
Oh, yeah.
resistance in schools?
Okay. Okay. So yeah, of course, you have the theater in schools, and you have different artistic art courses. But when you want to talk about Nakbi or to talk about resistance, no, not all schools. Like you can say more than, if I want to be optimistic, like more than 90% or 85% of the schools, no, of course, no. 90% of the schools, they don't agree. There are some schools, there are few schools that I know that, yes, they do. And they talk about culture, they talk about heritage, and they talk about the importance, how to keep the handmade work. But if you want to talk about Nakbi, about resistance, about who we are as Palestinians, no, they don't allow me. If I want to do such a thing, they won't allow me. There are a few schools that we are trying to do with the other organization, but I'm part of it, to do the school of return, if we can translate it like that. So we go there and we talk about all the Palestinian issues through workshop, through arts, through interaction. So we are looking for schools to do this, and we didn't find many schools, because not all of them, they are afraid to do that, unfortunately.
Okay. Another one came in.
But sorry, this is we are talking, and in Palestine 48, yeah? In
Yes.
West Bank.
I think so, yeah.
In West Bank, it's totally, of course, different way, but the education system and so many things, even in West Bank, there was so much change, like in the Palestinian education system after Oslo, unfortunately. So even in West, there are problems of loss of identity, but at least you can talk about Palestine, about Nakbi, without having like here, because here you go back to the Ministry of Education in Israel, but there's the Ministry of Education.
Okay, thank you. Now, another question: how can people who are not professional artists use art to tell their stories?
How can professional artists not use art?
People who are not professional artists use art to tell their stories?
Oh yeah, that's a nice question actually, and well, there are many methods, especially in the interactive theater that we said, and especially like for the street theater, for example, the street theater that we will do next Saturday. We will have people that they are not artists, not professional artists, but they try to, they will be part of it, because what we want is people to be there, to be inside their stories, and to be inside their feelings, and to walk in the street as refugees. So I mean, but it is, yeah, interesting that you are anyone who's not artist or who doesn't work in theater. So many times you can, there are some workshops, like some people, they like to do just to give them encourage to do it. But this is very interesting question. Like, I'm just thinking how we can, like, as people, because I think for me, we are all actors in life. Like, we are all actors and we take roles in life, but without like without knowing about it and without preparing for it. So many times, for example, there's so many times people in protest or in schools or teachers, so they try to use theater to make change, from theater exercises or from theater way. So there are so many. It's a very nice, interesting thing to think about. How really can anyone make change through theater if he's not an artist? So thank you for asking this question.
Thank you. Another question: how successful are your projects in bringing Palestinians together within their diverse experiences?
Yeah, it's actually, for me, in my point of view, it helped a lot to bring Palestinians together and to bring them that to feel in the end of the day we are all in the same, as we say, boat, in the same place, in the same, we are facing the same occupation. And especially in the workshops that I mentioned and the different projects too that we did, that making people to meet. Like if I will talk with you about checkpoint and about Qalandia checkpoint, and I will do presentation and I'll show you pictures, you won't feel the same unless you go to Columbia checkpoint and you feel what does it mean to go in this checkpoint and wait for hours, and to take you 3 hours maybe to go from Ramallah to Jerusalem, which takes supposed to be 15 minutes, not more. So that's why when you make people to meet and to talk and to see, like I can, someone who's from Haifa, he can see a movie about a young man in Jenin. But when we meet, we talk, we share, it's different level. And for me, it's really all the projects that we did. As I said, the most important thing for me, it was people that they share together, they talk, and they feel that they are not alone. We are all in the same place, but we are living each one in his own zone, in his different, like dealing differently in his conflict. So, and for me, I feel it's so important to talk about that, and maybe connecting to the other question that we influence our inside circle, not the outside circle, because even that meeting with Palestinians, they living in diaspora, that it makes for us so much, the bridge, it's so important.
Mhm.
Yeah. And especially if we talk about using art to talk about it, it can be more and more effective. So in the projects, it was very effective. There's actually was one school that we did with them. It was in Haifa and Ramallah, and they are in the 8th grade, I think they were, or 7th grade, children's that I worked with each group in Haifa and in Ramallah, and I wanted them to meet together, and we wanted them to meet in Haifa. So we had permissions for the children's, even that they are young children's, but they needed permissions even in that age. And not all the children's, they had permission, unfortunately, because, because of the occupation. So in the end, the school in Ramallah, they decided that they can't let some children's to come and other children's not to come because they didn't have permission. So we didn't meet actually face to face. But when I told them this story for the children's in Haifa University, even they didn't meet them. They were all, oh really? They can't come to Haifa? They need permission? Why? And so this made for them something to talk about, to think about.
Okay. So just so very interesting, all this that you're talking about, Faten. We're just about out of time. I'd like to turn the time over now to Maisa just for some concluding remarks, but I want to thank you personally. This was very interesting, very informative. I greatly appreciated this. So I'll turn the time over now to Maisa.
Yeah, I can echo Bob remarks. Thank you very much, Faten, for this very informative and actually very touching insights. Thank you for sharing those intimate feelings about being Palestinian in denial. And feeling this like actual denial of your identity, and how you managed to turn this denial into a powerful project to bring this fragmented kind of like Palestinian experience between Palestine 48 and Palestine under the occupation in West Bank and in Gaza, bring all these experiences together in the framework of art. And as you said, like it's about like the art of action. And you were really very successful in turning our kind of like mindset about like that, how art and how plays can be an action of resistance. This is amazing. The other thing that you managed to highlight and address the nature of occupation in a very simple, direct, indirect way. And at the end, we all kind of like now kind of like aware of how important it is to perform and bring this heritage, this culture that is neglected. And as Edward Said always talk about, like the need to bring this missing narrative of Palestinian, the need to bring it to the audience, either the Palestinian themselves or the foreign audience, and even the Israeli audience in some cases, in case there is someone ready to listen to such narratives. So thank you very much. Again, when you talked about the boycott and the importance of boycott and how we should all together work against this Israeli propaganda, which we are at the moment witnessing a real example, that we all saw the video of killing Shireen, and then we saw how they attacked her funeral, that it's actually a very kind of like clear evidence that we don't need an investigation. They are just providing us with a narrative. And again, what you talked about today is very much relevant to what we are living. But again, we would love to see you, Faten, here in Canada to show our audience this missing piece of the Palestinian narrative and heritage. It's not missing because it's not there. It's missing because there are no tools, available tools to bring it to the audience. So people like you, Faten, during and through your project, like the Mosaic Association for Palestinian and Artistic Training, I think this is very important to be supported and to be kind of like active in having it active here and there. And we would love to welcome you to Canada, to allow you the chance to talk to the audience face to face, and have you on the stage someday somewhere here in Canada, where we can all enjoy and at the same time live this this narrative.
So and I like just to say that of course it's very important to come and to meet people, and I invite everyone who is with us now that to come to Palestine, because as I said, when you hear about it, or you see it, or you read about it, it's not the same when you go there. So I invite everyone to come to Palestine. To have a very delicious maqloubi here.
And tabbouleh, as you said.
And tabbouleh. And I just want to say that I mentioned so much about the part of, maybe I focused more about in 48, but of course talking about living in Ramallah and passing checkpoints and all what the daily life, like for example, it used to take me to Nazareth 4 hours with a checkpoint, just 1 hour and 2 hours. So so many details that even that in theater, and using theater even in checkpoints, that I didn't mention it a lot, but it can take another part that in my life that I lived in Ramallah and West Bank, and passing checkpoints, or sometimes many times when I go to the sea, many times I feel guilty because I know my friend, she can't come to the sea, and I feel this is not good because I can go and she can't. So this all this and thank you for mentioning Mosaic, the organization. I didn't mention it here because I wanted to mention more about can make change.
So. Thank you. And again, a final note for our audience: we thank you a lot for those who provided us with contributions to keep our work at CVPR alive, and to allow us to have more informative webinars for you on Palestine and Palestinian narrative. But this time, we will request that all your donation to be allocated to Faten's work and Mosaic as an association. So please contact us via the email, and we will kind of like work together to transfer all your donations to Faten and to Mosaic. Thank you. And the last thing I would like to say, for people who are in Waterloo and Kitchener, there is an activity in Waterloo Park, Western Entrance, on Nakba at 3 o'clock. If you are able to be there, the more people we have, the better. More visibility means more resistance, because as Faten mentioned at the beginning, our existence is resistance. So please join us at Waterloo Park, the Western Entrance, to remember Nakba and to keep it alive for our generation and the generation of our children. Thank you very much, and see you in our next webinar. Thank you, Faten.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.